26 years is a very, very long time not to be alive. Well, this is the hook of to the storyline in Gail Schimmel's fourth novel titled The Accident. Now, in this much-anticipated book, Gail introduces us to Catherine, a mother who has lived on autopilot, going through the motions of work and motherhood without really being fully present in the lives of those close to her, especially her daughter Julia. Let me not give much of the story away and welcome the book's author, Gail, who is in studio with us this morning to help us unpack this exciting offering. Gail, a very good morning and welcome.
Thank you so much for having me.
From the writer's perspective, how would you describe or explain what The Accident is all about?
I think you've given quite a good description of it, but I think it's underneath that, it's about friendship, it's about motherhood, it's about loss, it's about depression, and it's about surviving life's challenges.
Yeah, and it follows the aftermath and effects of what a family could go through after a life-changing accident, hey?
Absolutely, and we see a few people. We see Catherine, who was involved in the accident, her daughter Julia, who was a baby when the accident happened and has now grown up, and Julia is now making bad choices, possibly because of how Catherine parented after the accident. Julia is having an affair with a married man, married to one of her best friends, and we hear from the best friend and we hear from the married man.
Give us more details how these characters develop in the story.
Oh, that's a difficult one. You know, I think we see them all in a way going through a process of healing. You know, you see on the cover of the book, you see the broken teacup, and people have said to me, I'm going to be honest, we chose the broken teacup because we like the image, but people have said to me, oh, it's symbolic of how people are healed and how you're still cracked when you're healed, and it really is about that. It's about healing.
Yeah, and let's talk about the main character, Catherine. The story begins and ends with her. What really is her story?
So Catherine was involved in this accident when Julia was a baby of 2. It's very hard to talk about without doing spoilers, but so the accident, what happened in the accident was so traumatic that she's left empty and depressed, but she still has a baby that she has to bring up. And as I said, we now in the adulthood, we see how that's worked out for Julia, how it's damaged Julia, how Julia now is making her own life choices, and are they good ones? Maybe not.
And then there's, of course, Julia, Claire, Daniel, a kind of a messy situation. Do you want to touch a bit more on that?
Very well. So Julia was great friends with Claire. She admired Claire greatly. I loved writing Claire. Claire is one of those perfect women. Claire's the woman who got the memo on how to do life. She does everything right. She's that perfect mom, the mom who always knows what to do, what to pack, where her child's supposed to be. She's got it all together. And Julia really admired Claire. So what does Julia do when she really admires Claire? She sleeps with Claire's husband. And that's Daniel. And the book opens, we're already in that situation. It's not a spoiler. We're already in that situation. She's lost the friendship now. And has she made the right choice? Is Daniel really a good catch? And as the book goes on, we discover whether or not Daniel's a good catch.
I'm actually reminded of this movie, It's Complicated, because this really is a messy situation and it's really complicated.
It's complicated, and it's interesting you say that because it's advice that's often given to writers. If you're struggling with your plot, they say, complicate it, and then complicate it some more. And maybe I took that a little bit too seriously when I was writing this one.
You know, Gail, this book taps into some really heavy themes and subjects such as loss and grief. Talk to us how you managed to effortlessly capture those themes into the book.
It's an interesting one because I think the two heavy things are loss and grief, like you say, and depression. And loss and grief, like anybody my age, I've had experience with loss and grief, not the terrible loss that's in this book, but so that I could tap into my own experiences. With depression, it was harder because I've never been clinically depressed, and I think it's very important that one is respectful that clinical depression is very different from feeling sad because your day's gone wrong. I felt sad because my day's gone wrong, but I've never been clinically depressed, so that was a bit more difficult to get myself under. But I always think part of being a writer is that you can imagine yourself in other people's lives. We wouldn't write if we couldn't do that. And
how did you manage to get into other people's lives if you've never been in that situation yourself?
Once I imagine the situation, and you know, it's a big spoiler why she is in fact so depressed. But if you imagine what happened to her happening to you, and then the rest flows, because if what had happened to her happened to me,
Right.
I'd be a mess. So it's easy then to put myself into it. And I think that is maybe what differentiates writers from other people, that we find it too easy to go into other people's heads. We find it too easy to imagine what their lives are like, and then they start talking to us in our heads and telling us. So you've got to write it down, otherwise you're going to get locked up for being crazy.
I get you. I get you there. So, Gail, how is this one different from your other 3 books?
Another hard question. In a way, it's not. I always write about Johannesburg. I always write about quite middle-class Johannesburg in the suburbs, because that's what I know. I always write about family dramas. Domestic suspense is one word for it. You know, what's going on underneath the family. But I write about different aspects of this, and here I wanted to explore someone with grown-up children. And that's something I haven't explored properly before. The book before it was about a woman with a very young child, and something that went wrong. She made friends with some other mothers, and those mothers were not what they seem, and what happened from there. My first book, Marriage Vows, was about marriage and fidelity. And then Whatever Happened to the Carley Twins, which was the second one, was also about young children. It was about twins who disappeared when they're 3 months old and are never seen again. And now we're 30 years later.
You know what, Gail, curiosity gets the better of me all the time. You know, in all my interviews with authors, I find it incredibly difficult to ask questions that will not give the story away.
That is the problem.
Sequel, perhaps?
No, I'm not a sequel writer, you know. Maybe I will do one day, when the right book and the right sequel, but I tend to find by the time I've got to the end of the last book, a new story is starting to bite. But next book, I've just finished the first draft.
All right.
Breaking news, yeah.
Oh, great stuff. We can't wait to host you again here on this show to talk about that
I
one.
look forward to it.
All right, Gail, thank you so much for your
Thank
time.
you.
Appreciate it. Well, that was author Gail Schimmel, and she's speaking to us about her 4th novel titled The Accident. Well, if you belong to a book club or a lone reader, you can also join us for a Sunday morning book feature to talk about some of the books that you're currently reading or have read. Just send us a detailed description of your book club on email, or you can send us a picture of books with a brief caption using our social media platforms. Use our Twitter handle @MorningLiveSABC or #MorningLiveSABC. You can also tag or send us a Facebook message via our page, Morning Live SABC. Now, here's our email address, morninglive@sabc.co.za.